kitchen. I'm the penguin.
And I'm the chef.
And today, the chef is going to do some cooking.
Yeah.
Take it, chef.
Okay. Today, the star of the show is bell peppers. We're going to do my version of stuffed bell peppers. Y'all remember when you was a kid and Kmart's used to have lunch counters and they had them sandwich counters? My dad used to stop and buy them submarine sandwiches and take them places with us. And in the back of all the old Kmart's, they haven't been open since the 80s around here as far as the lunch counters. They'd always have their daily specials really cheap, $3, $4. Well, they used to serve stuffed bell peppers about once a week or once a month. And they did theirs different. It didn't ever taste them. My mom's were really good. She made it home. But theirs had a little different flavor. So the last time I got them, which was luckily right before they closed down, I kind of did a little poking and snooping and asking. And I got some of the things they put in it. Theirs were more of a Creole, Cajun style stuff. And there were some different things in it that I didn't know. So that's what this recipe is going to be. And not to change the subject too much, but how many of you guys have ever had Diet Faygo draft style root beer? Faygo's hard to find around here, especially Diet. Myers in Terre Haute is the only place I've been able to find it. And they only have like 5 or 6 different flavors in 20-ounce bottles. I know that Faygo is the farther northern. It's up in Michigan, I think, is their home factory.
I think it's in Michigan, yeah.
I usually drink Diet A&W root beer when I'm trying to stay off a regular pop. It's got a sweet vanilla flavor. This is completely different. It's got that really like Barks kind of flavor.
Deep root beer.
Yeah, deep root beer. Bugs kind of flavor. If it was just a tad sweet, it'd be perfect. But I really enjoy having one of these every now and then. If you haven't tried one, look around and see if you can find one.
He likes to put it in the freezer and let it get a little icy, slushy.
Yeah, it's good that way.
Yep.
Okay, back to our bell peppers. I'm only making 2 bell peppers, 1 apiece for each of us. Like I said, since the 2 of us here, so I got about 3/4 pound of some good hamburger. I got about 1/4 pound of rolled sausage. You can use any kind of sausage you want. Hot, mild, spicy. This is just sort of a medium. I have a 14.5-ounce can of sauerkraut. I have a big can, a 1 pound, 13-ounce can, 29 ounces of tomato sauce. Now this is one of them optional things. You can use tomato juice if you don't have tomato sauce. This will probably be just fine for what I'm making the amount today. I could add water to it if I was going to make like 4. You want to double the recipe. After that, you'd have to add more tomato sauce, or like I said, I've used tomato juice. It works just the same. I got garlic powder, onion powder, pepper. I have salt, and I also have my accent. I will use the accent in my version because it cuts out some sodium, and I got to watch my sodium. So, but you can use salt in yours. You don't have to use accent. It's just one thing. I have instant white rice. If you don't have instant rice, you can use regular long grain wild rice. Probably any type of rice would work in this. I have Worcestershire sauce, Cajun spice seasoning, a little bit of my Louisiana Supreme hot sauce. Use any kind of hot sauce you want. I have some Zatarain's blackened seasoning. Like I said, you can try it my way once and then take something out, add something that you guys like. Make it your version. That's what makes it good. I got part of an onion. I got 1 egg. I got a little bit of cabbage. It just takes a little bit. And, of course, I got those 2 big peppers. All right, we're ready to get started. Okay, I'm going to cut my bell peppers and get the seeds out. And I'm going to save that top and jibble up the little pieces. Put them in a bowl and save them for the stuffing. That way you can get a little bit of pepper down inside the pepper, too. See, basically empty inside, so I don't have much work to do there.
If you have any white on the inside, you want to try to gently trim the white out because that can be a little bitter.
It's kind of hard to reach down in there with your knife, but if you have kitchen shears, that's really great. You can just reach in there and just snip them right out.
Just make sure you don't snip through your pepper.
Yeah, you want to keep the pepper whole. And there's the first one cleaned out. I love bell peppers. They're so versatile. You can use them in so many things.
Yeah. A lot of times people like stuffed peppers, but they like the meat on the inside and they don't eat the pepper.
Yeah.
Me and the chef have something that we make once in a while. It's called an unstuffed pepper skillet.
Oh, yeah, it's really good, too.
It's different than what chef is making now. It doesn't have sauerkraut in it. This one the chef makes is very different, and it's so delicious. I would highly recommend it if you guys like sauerkraut. First time he ever made it for me, I had never heard of sauerkraut being cooked in with stuffed peppers before, but oh, it was so good.
Like I said, I really lucked out that day. I was still young. I was not much more than a kid, but they had them, and I asked the ladies back there. There was like 3 old ladies working back there. It reminded me of a school cafeteria. And I said, your guys' peppers always taste better than what my mom makes at home. They said, oh, one lady told me I shouldn't say that. There's number 2 cleaned out. Let me get this mess cleaned up, and we'll be right back. Okay, I got rid of all the seeds, and I'm going to cut these off and dice them up real fine to be mixed in with the mix. But what I was saying about the lady, she told me I shouldn't say that about my mom's stuffed bell peppers. And I said, well, your guys' taste better. Why are they different? And she said they make them Cajun or Creole style, and they use sauerkraut and put a little sausage into their meat mixture. And that's what gives them that different kind of flavor. So I kept experimenting when I got older and started cooking myself, and this is as close as I could come up to how they tasted when I was a kid. How many of you remember those sandwiches I used to make? Oh, I used to love them Simmering sandwiches and ham sandwiches Kmart made.
My dad used to go there on a Sunday or something, and he would come back home with a bag of the submarine sandwiches. And I worked at Kmart when I was like a kid, like 16, 17. I worked there for a little bit during the holidays, and I knew they had a restaurant in the back, but I never went back there and ate anything. I just always grabbed something quick out of the little snack shop up front.
Yeah, that's where they had the sandwiches, was the snack shop.
So I never had one of these bell peppers from back there.
Oh, they used to you get a lot of food for a little money. I remember as a little kid, my mom used to take me to a shopping plaza that was more or less in the middle of town. When we lived in town, and it was a Woolworths that was there, and Woolworths had a lunch counter. And that tells you how many years ago that's been, how old I am. But around here, all the Kmarts but one closed down in the early mid-90s. And before that, though, they'd already shut down the lunch counter in the back, and then they shut down the sandwich snack thing up in the front. So evidently they weren't making enough money off of it.
They replaced them with Little Caesars.
Yeah, Little Caesars. The one Kmart that remained open around this area had a Little Caesars in it for a long time, and it finally shut down, 5 years ago now? 4 years ago? So we have no Kmarts around where we live.
I don't even know if the one in Indianapolis is still open.
I don't know. It's been a few years since we've been there.
Well, it's not been a few years since we've been to Indianapolis, but to the Kmart, yeah.
To the Kmart, yeah. Because a couple of the curtains we got here in the house came from there. As a matter of fact, we found them. They were nice curtains, and they were on sale.
Yeah, they're in Target.
Okay, I got all these stuff, but I'm going to put them in I can put them in the bowl. And we'll use this same bowl to put the onion in. We'll be back. And thank goodness the penguin's here. She reminded me I'm not making like 4 or 6 of them. I'm only making the 2 for the video. So I took a little bit out here that we're going to put in the bell peppers, and the rest of them we'll put in a bag and freeze for another time. Okay, now I'm going to dice up some onion. You can use green bell peppers. A lot of people prefer the green ones because they're a little stronger and have more flavor. But I get acid reflux, so I prefer to use the lighter colored bell peppers. The store didn't have any yellows, so I grabbed the next 2, the reds and the oranges. So not quite minced, but pretty fine.
I'm excited because I love the chef's stuffed bell peppers.
Yeah, they're different. And like I said, anybody else's I'd ever tasted except the ones I used to get as a kid. How is it that guy Justin Wilson used to say it? Try it, and I guarantee you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I guarantee.
Like I said about all of our videos that we make on recipes, though, cook it our way once, and then tweak it the way you want it. A little less of this, a little more of that. Eliminate something, add something, and if you do, let us know. We'd like to know how you tried it. We'd like to try it your way and see if we like it any better.
And you know the best part about this now is because we found that 0 carb bread.
Oh,
we could always toast up some bread and use that as a filling inside the stuffed peppers instead of using the white rice.
Yep.
That way we're making low carb stuffed bell peppers.
Yeah, that would work out great.
So we don't have to eliminate these from our diet just because we're dieting. That bread is absolutely amazing, and we're going to try to do a review on that.
Yeah.
We're going to do a comparison and a review for you guys so that you can see. Because like we've talked about before, when we went to McDonald's, we took a couple of those buns. Well, the chef even did it with Popeyes.
Mm-hmm.
He just had them put the mayonnaise on a cup on the side so that he could dress up his own bun and make his own chicken sandwich.
Yeah, because they put pickles and mayonnaise. That's all they put on it.
And the pickles, of course, are free to eat. The mayonnaise is free to eat. It was just the bun. And yeah, there's breading on their chicken, but like I said, the carbs that he cut out just from using that bun as opposed to eating the Popeyes bun, that was a lot.
Yeah, and it was really good. I just wish I'd have toasted the bun ahead of time. I didn't think when we left to toast any buns. If it had been toasted, it would have been perfect.
But we did go to McDonald's the other day too, and he did toast a bun for both of us before we went to McDonald's. We each ordered a McDouble, no ketchup, and we took our burgers and cheese and everything off of the McDonald's bun and put it onto the Lewis bun. And it was so good, y'all. It was just like eating a McDouble. I mean,
right. It's just like it.
Actually, it was kind of better because our buns were a little bit more fresh than those ones that sit underneath the warmer for an hour.
And there we've got our onion all diced up with our little bit of bell pepper. And next we're going to get just a little bit of cabbage. You don't need a lot of cabbage. Just a little bit. Peel a few of these leaves apart. These are going to go in the bottom of your pot.
I think when I made those pigs in the blanket a few days back, I think it made Chef hungry for bell peppers.
It reminded me of these a little bit, so. And for the two we're making, that's probably enough cabbage right there. I'm going to lay that in the bottom of the pot when we get started. Okay, I put my cutting board away in there. There's that cabbage. I just got a little bit lined in the bottom of the pot. Not a lot, just a little bit for flavor that way when it cooks. Let's set the pot out of the way. And it's time to make our filling. Set my peppers over here on the plate. And you want to try to find peppers that stand up straight. I have a small pot since I'm only doing 2, but you could put them in a big pot. But you want to try to find ones that stand up straight so they don't fall over on you while they're cooking.
And let me give you a little hint. In case you have a hard time finding peppers that do that. Now, these don't have it, but sometimes you'll have peppers that'll have deep nubs at the bottom. You could go along and just thinly trim whatever one may be keeping your pepper from sitting flat. So that way it will sit flat then. But just make sure that you trim gingerly, that you don't cut through the pepper.
And I always try to find the biggest around ones. That way you get more filling in them because you know me, I love to eat. So, okay, we're going to put our 3/4 pound of ground beef down in there.
Speaking of loving to eat, the penguin's hungry because this food's making me hungry.
And my 1/4 pound of sausage. And into that, we're going to add in our onion and our bell pepper. And let me grab these bowls and get them out of the way. We'll be right back. And I'm going to put about 1/3 cup or just a little over of the rice. There's 1/3. And just a spoonful more for good measure. And then we're going to start adding our seasonings. I'm not going to bore you with putting it in a spoon and all, but I usually put about 1 tablespoon of garlic.
I'll put the recipe in the description box below because he does have the recipe wrote down. I'll just need to break it down for 2 servings.
About a tablespoon of onion powder. Like I said, I'm not using the salt. I use accent. So we're going to put about a teaspoon of accent in it.
If you're not using accent, then you want to use about a teaspoon of salt.
And about a teaspoon or just a little over of Cajun seasoning.
Unless you don't like heat, then don't use the Cajun seasoning.
This brand here is a cheaper brand, and it's not real hot, but it does have a lot of flavor. And about a half a teaspoon or just a little over of this Zatarain's blackening, because I like the blackening flavor. About a tablespoon or so of Worcestershire sauce, be a little bit more. About a teaspoon, and you can use, like I said, you can use any kind you like. This isn't real hot sauce. It's just pretty much plain
Louisiana hot sauce.
Yeah, Louisiana hot sauce. You can, if you like it hotter, you can add more. Hot sauce. And then into that, we're going to break 1 egg. And then we're going to get to mixing. This is one of them recipes you got to get your hands dirty and get it all down in there and get it worked good.
That's the fun part.
Sort of like a little Cajun meatloaf stuffed inside of a bell pepper. And they have so much flavor. I know there's other recipes where you cook your meat ahead and then put it in there with cheese. And I know there's recipes where you just do like I'm doing with different seasonings and spices and stuff it down in there and then put cheese on top and bake it. I don't do cheese on mine.
And a lot of people, they dry bake their bell peppers, and I don't like them dry baked.
Yeah, that gives the hamburger a kind of funny flavor to me when you dry bake hamburger like that. It's kind of ugh.
But I know from spending time in Malaysia, this is one of the things that they've actually made over there before, but they make theirs totally different. They have, they use seafood in their stuffed bell peppers. They use very deep spices in their stuffed bell peppers. So they do have them there. It's just their own version.
Yeah, I've seen versions in cookbooks and online where they make them all over the world different ways. Some people put lamb, some people put potatoes, other vegetables in it. Just have different versions of stuffed bell peppers. So everybody kind of makes it their own. The history books say it originated, they think, in Spain back in the 1600s of people stuffing bell peppers. I don't know who it was. I watched a cooking show years ago, and the guy had found his great-grandmother's cookbook, and she was from Texas. She was originally Hispanic, but she lived in Texas, and he decided to have a party and cook some of her original recipe that she had in her fish, and one of them was a meat that was cooked together, and I think it was a pork and beef kind of thing, and they stuffed it inside of hot peppers. Big old hot peppers.
Like poblano peppers, probably.
Yeah, they were hot peppers. I know they were hot.
Oh.
Because they stuffed them, and then they cooked them for so long in the house, and he took them out and charred them on the grill, and they looked just delicious. Well, they made everybody's plates outside at the big table they had over, and everybody started digging into eating them. Everybody was saying how good they were and how much flavor they had. They never had anything quite like it. And then everybody kind of broke out into a sweat. And then it was a full-on reaching for glasses of stuff, trying to cool their mouths down on camera.
Weaklings.
Yeah, that's what everybody kept saying. The pioneers back then around the time of the Alamo must have had some steel stomachs if they were eating those things. And the guy kept trying to apologize. And they said, no, you never know. Maybe your grandma's peppers weren't this hot from where she got them. So, okay, there I've got my...
Tastes good going in, but may not feel so great coming out.
Yeah. There I've got my mix all mixed up. The hamburger, the seasonings, the sausage, the onions, the peppers, and the eggs. And when we come back, we're going to stuff them in those bell peppers. Alrighty, we're ready to stuff these peppers. Just grab your meat, and I keep pushing it down in and pushing it down in when I get started because I like them packed really full. And if you have any mixture left over, which looks like I made a little too much, I'll just put that in a Ziploc bag or a container and freeze it and use it for the next time. Or when she makes the
unstuffed pepper skillet.
Unstuffed peppers, she can just mix that little bit that's left over of mine with hers, and it doesn't change the flavor too awful much.
No. We'll make that someday. We've got a couple of good things coming up, and wanted to remind you guys too, if all goes well. Now,
If all goes well,
life is life and things happen, but as of right now, me and the chef are planning on making a video with some Valentine's sweetheart type dinner and dessert.
Yeah, dinner and desserts. Maybe some appetizers if we have time to.
So
you can make a homemade Valentine's dinner for your loved one, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
Significant other.
That's right. Because we know it's hard getting out these days with COVID going on, and now they were talking about most of the states have got some of those other strains in it that are coming from the other countries, so.
Man, those look so good.
Yeah, they're going to taste good too. I guarantee it.
Nice and packed in there.
Yeah. Now, we already know from using this Myers hamburger, it doesn't have a lot of grease in it. That's the one nice thing. If you're not for sure about how much grease that you're going to have, you probably want to get a little bit leaner meat. Because when you make these, you want to not have too much grease coming out.
Try to get at least 80-20. If not, use ground chuck or ground round.
Or ground sirloin. It's a good choice too.
Yep.
Because if you get one of these and you're using cheaper hamburger, and I got it nice and full, by the time you get done, you're going to have a half-size ball sitting in the center of your bell pepper. They're not going to be stuffed nice and full like that. So, let me turn it here. It wants to move. There's the 2 bell pepper stuffed, and I got just a little bit left. Not quite enough for another pepper, maybe a half a pepper. I'm going to get that put in a bag and get this cleaned up, and I'll show you how to put it in a pot and get it started. Okay, I've got my dented, which got opened up by the Safety Can Express, no problem, marked down can of tomato sauce. You know me, I like markdowns. So I'm going to take and just pour a little bit of that tomato sauce down inside the pot right there.
Move you guys closer so you can see that.
Yeah.
What the chef is doing.
Then I'm going to take just a little bit of the kraut, get my fork here, and I'm going to put a little bit of kraut in the bottom.
I know it sounds strange, guys, but it's really good.
Yeah. You don't have to do it this way. I do it this way. That way there's a little bit of tomato and kraut under my peppers. That way it's not dry on the bottom. They'll cook all the way around when that cabbage is cooking.
There's one thing about us. We won't bring you a recipe if we don't think that you would actually like it.
That's right.
Because that would be pointless.
Let's move that one over to that side. And stick our yellow one down in there and make sure it's standing up right. Now we're going to take the rest of our kraut. Usually I use most of a can. This is kind of a small amount for us. I don't know. Let's see here. Spread it out on this side. You don't want to waste any of that kraut juice either. You want to get it down in there. Give it more flavor and help it cook. Of course, if you have a bigger pot or you're doing more, like I said, you want to kind of spread it around it. There's our kraut. Pretty much all I'm going to get out of that can.
Dang. And there's not a bite left over for the penguin, because I like to eat kraut out of a can.
Well, go ahead and reach in and grab it.
No.
And here I have the rest of that tomato sauce, and I'm going to, like I said, you can use tomato juice if you like, or if you have tomato sauce and it's not quite enough, you can add some water to it. Now remember, all this stuff's going to turn to water as you go. Get the rest of that down in there on either side. Get that little bit of tomato juice off the top of that. It's going to boil up on its own.
Yeah, it'll get into your pepper and on your pepper.
Yeah. Get that all like that. And then I'm going to add my black pepper. Sprinkling it on top of the peppers, and I'm sprinkling it down in my tomato. And a little bit of that Cajun spice, just a little dusting on the top, and a little bit on the sides, and a little bit of accent. That's just down on the sides.
You want to use salt if you're not using accent.
Right. And you after it cooks, you want to taste it before it's all the way done, just to make sure. Let's see. And onion powder.
Yeah, they always say a good cook always tastes his food.
That's right. A little on the sides and a little on top. And a little bit of my Cajun, or a little bit of my blackening, sorry. A little bit on top.
You can never go wrong with adding extra flavor.
A little on the side. Now I'm out of step. I don't know if I put the Cajun on or not. Well, we'll put a little more. It's not going to hurt anything if I did anyway.
I don't think you did.
And a little bit of Cajun. A little bit on the sides and a little bit on top. Now I'm going to take the lid and put it on top of it. And you want to leave it vented. I'm going to take it over to the stove and I'm going to put it on medium-high and get it to a rolling boil. Slight rolling boil. Then I'm going to turn it down low to medium-low. And these are going to have to cook about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. You want to make sure that meat gets cooked through, and it takes a little while since it's so thick around. We'll show you here in a minute when I got it on the stove. Okay, you can see I've got this up to a good rolling boil. I've had it on medium-high.
Oh, see if I can get it focused on there.
There we go. So now I'm going to turn it down to about medium-low.
And he's got it on a dual burner. That's why his is on this side.
Yeah, I got it on only single on this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get me some of that tomato juice and I'm going to pour it over the top of those peppers. Scoot the camera back there a little bit.
Yep, sorry.
I'm just going to spoon a little bit over. That helps it cook and seal from the top down.
They said you're making more. You've got more mouths to feed.
Yeah, just double, triple, quadruple the recipe.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
All you got to do. Okay, now I've got that turned down, like I said, to medium-low. I've covered the top. When I come back and check every 15 minutes or so on this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take some more of that juice and pour over the top to keep it cooking from the top down. That way it cook a little faster.
Go ahead.
I'm going to put my lid on. I'm going to leave it slightly vented. And I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes to start with, and I'll take a look at them at that point. You can kind of push on the pepper and kind of tell when the hamburger gets done, it gets kind of stiff, whereas if it's got a lot of give with your spoon pushing down, you probably need to let it cook a little bit. But usually you take about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half at a low boil. So when they're done, we'll be back. Okay, it's been a half an hour, just a little over. This is the second time I've been back, and I'm adding more of that hot liquid, the hot tomato sauce, cabbage, sauerkraut juice that I got over the top of these. Like I said, it helps them cook from the top down and seals all that other stuff in. But you can see I've just got it at a low boil, and I'm going to keep doing that for another 45 minutes, and then we'll be back.
Yep. Still got the burner at a low.
Still keeping it just barely vented.
We'll be back.
Okay, in case I didn't tell you before, you want to make sure you don't quite get your tomato, cabbage, kraut up over the top of that when it's boiling. I did that once by mistake. I thought I'd just go ahead and put it over the top and let's let them cook that way. Well, by the time they got about halfway done, my insides of my pepper started cooking out. The juice had got down in there and boiled the pepper skin off of the meat. So that's why I try to do it this way.
So in other words, he's saying don't fill your pan full of tomato sauce to where it's covering your peppers. You want to keep it below the level of the top of your pepper and then just spoon it over.
Yeah, otherwise like I said, you take the chance of your pepper blowing apart and then your meat's just open to the juice, which it still tasted fine. It's just that there weren't stuffed bell peppers anymore. They were just pieces of bell pepper. Okay, and we'll be back. They got about 3.5 minutes left, but you see how much of the liquid has reduced down inside there? It's got about a ½ inch shorter. Like I said, I've kept stirring this around on the sides. I've kept taking that juice with the kraut and putting it over the top. The cabbage is still on the bottom, of course, but man, if you could smell this right now, you would just be amazed. So when they get done, I'll be back and I'll show them to you on a plate.
Yum, yum.
There you have it. There's my Cajun Creole style stuffed bell peppers on the plate. I'm going to take one off the plate. It's the penguins, and I'll cut mine in half in a moment and show you what that looks like. There you go. I sliced one in half. It's all nice and done inside. You see, I got stuff on top, and the pepper's completely cooked around it. Let me get this plated up with the rest of what we're having for dinner, and I'll show you what it looks like.
Yeah, because he's going to top that, I think, with a little of his kraut and juice.
Yeah, oh, I got to have that kraut and juice.
We'll be back, guys.
And there you go. There's what's for dinner. My Cajun stuffed bell peppers, and I put plenty of my cabbage and kraut tomato sauce over the top.
Yum, yum.
Some homemade mashed potatoes, some Mexican-style corn. It's got little bits of bell pepper in it, and 2 pieces of that zero-carb keto Lewis bread with some unsalted butter on top of it for me. I can't wait to dig in.
Yum, yum, guys.
Well, we'll see you guys in the next video.
All right, we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up yet, so we'll see you guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.